Hello YouTubers, I recently just had my 400th video, and in that video I showed off my VHS collection. Well, I got a recommendation from Jessica's Music Box, aka Stargazer, about a Blu-ray collection video. So here in this video, I'm going to showcase my Blu-ray slash DVD collection so far this year. Okay, to start off the Blu-rays, I have my top shelf here, which has some Dr. Pepper cans of Wonder Woman, then of Batman, and then I have two tall boys with Terminator Genesis, Big Red, and then Wonder Woman with Batman and Superman from BVS, Dawn of Justice. Overall, that's not bad. And then from the Bob Bullock IMAX, I went on a field trip. I actually have a piece of film, IMAX film, from Man of Steel. Pretty cool, huh? But to start off the Blu-rays, I have the 70th anniversary of Casablanca, such a classic film starring Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. One of my all-time favorite films. I love this. Comes with some coasters and collectible posters. All around, a great film, and also has about a 3-hour documentary over Warner Brothers. Then we have this Stranger Things Season 1 Blu-ray VHS case. I love it. It's all retro. You may see an unboxing of this on my channel. I love this. I cannot wait for Season 2. I hope they have an edition like this. Then we have the ultimate toy box of Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 in this little trilogy. So it's Andy's toy box with all the Blu-ray DVDs of Toy Story. Overall, not a bad trilogy. I really love this. This is one of the best trilogies ever made. And then the first 7 is the Fast and Furious collection. Fast and Furious all the way to Furious 7 in this little collectible wheel. I love it. All the discs are in this little tire. I just love this set. It's such a cool set. Then we have the Bond 50 collection, which includes a space for Skyfall. I have Skyfall in here, so it's 5 decades of James Bond, all the way from Dr. No to Skyfall, or Quantum of Solace at the time. I like it, in 2 separate kind of silver and gold booklets. It's not a bad little set. Any Bond fan or any cinephile should definitely get this. Over here we have the Batman Anthology, which includes the original films. So it basically includes Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and the infamous Batman and Robin. Overall, not a bad set of films for that one box set. Then I have me Batman Under the Red Hood, a very underrated animated film from DC Universe. After that, we have another adaptation, but this time of The Dark Knight Returns from Frank Miller, parts 1 and 2 in this deluxe edition, this steelbook. I really love this film. Peter Weller, voice of RoboCop, plays Batman. And then we have Mark Hamill's Joker and the adaptation of Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. I like the graphic novel better, but overall not a bad film on its own, but you could probably skip the first 30 minutes of Batgirl. Then we go to the DCEU with Man of Steel. I actually really like this film. This is probably one of my favorite Superman films. And then it's a movie I personally enjoy. The Ultimate Edition, of course, more in the theatrical, and that is BVS Dawn of Justice. I love this. Wonder Woman makes it at the end with that electric guitar theme. I love it. And speaking of Wonder Woman, we have Wonder Woman. Patty Jenkins did such an amazing job with this film. I love it. Then I have a booklet of the Suicide Squad. Overall, it's not bad. It has the theatrical and extended versions, but it has this little booklet here. All the characters. Not bad. Belle Reeve, or Belle Rev as they call it in this. And then we have Justice League. The Justice League edition. I can't wait for the Snyder Cut. I hope it exists, but this is as best as what we're going to get right now. And as a fan, some Justice League is better than no Justice League. Again, a nice little booklet. I like the cover. This is an awesome cover. Nice homage to Alex Ross. Then we have Justice League Doom, which is actually much better than the movie. It's more like the cartoon series by Bruce Timm. Then we have my favorite Superman movie, Superman the Movie with Christopher Reeve. I love this. It's a special edition version. And then I also have Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. Hopefully, if a Snyder Cut exists, we don't have to wait as long as we did for this cut. This is a far superior version of Superman 2. And then we have V for Vendetta. Remember the 5th of November. Overall, it's not a bad film. Then we have an underrated superhero flick starring Alec Baldwin called The Shadow. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. Then one of my favorite films is Brandon Lee in The Crow. Such an amazing film. Not only as a comic book adapted film, but just a film in general. This is an awesome film that should never be remade. Then we have the best video game film still, in my opinion, Mortal Kombat! Yeah, I love this movie. And destroy all your expectations with the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Not bad, they just try to cram 2 and 3 from the video games into one movie, and because of that, it suffers. Plus, no Christopher Lambert as Raiden. But speaking of Christopher Lambert, we have Highlander, There Can Be Only One, the 30th anniversary edition. I love this movie. Such a great remaster in 4K. Then we have the worst sequel ever made, Highlander 2, but this is a producer's cut, which is kind of like an extended version of The Renegade, with some scenes missing, but to get this is the making. The making is awesome. Seeing Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery just talk shit about this film. It's beautiful. Then we go to Christopher Nolan with Interstellar, and this thin little book I got from Walmart. It came with an IMAX film reel. Overall, not bad. Not bad at all. I really like this movie. It's very underrated, highly emotional. I love the use of models. Then moving with Christopher Nolan, we have an underrated film, I feel, called The Prestige with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. Such a wonderful film. And then after that, I have Inception. The mind is the most resilient parasite. I love this movie. Such an awesome movie. One of my favorite Leo DiCaprio films, and Hans Zimmer's score is amazing. Then we have Dunkirk. I really love Dunkirk. One of the best picture nominations of this last Oscars. Very good film. Going to Warner Brothers, we have Blade Runner, The Final Cut. Not too many special features, but it's the final cut of Blade Runner. Then we have one of the best sequels ever made with Blade Runner 2049. I love this movie. This is just an awesome movie. Then one of my favorite films that inspired me as a filmmaker in this decade is Ryan Gosling in Drive. I love this. A real human being and a real hero. Great cast, great soundtrack, and wonderful direction by Nicholas Winding Refn. Ryan Gosling's best role. Going to Drivers, No One Puts Baby in a Corner, Baby Driver. I love this movie by Edgar Wright. And yeah, the cover is kind of like a GTA cover with the art. I love this movie. Then to one of my favorite films personally, and one of the films that inspired me to be a filmmaker, and that is Saturday Night Fever. This is the 40th anniversary director's cut, which has some commentary by John Badham himself. Overall, not a bad transfer, and it's a nice remaster, although I wish we had more John Travolta in the bonus features. We don't have him, and that's a bummer. I really wish they made some new ones. Then to one of my favorite films of last year, The Disaster Artist. I don't care. I do it. This is his movie, and this is his life. Any fans of The Room will appreciate this movie. Then we have one of my favorite films of the decade as well, called The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I was Charlie in high school, and this film just hits me in all the right and wrong places. Oh my god. Yeah, I know what it's like to be a wallflower, and Emma Watson is just like my celebrity crush. I love Emma Watson. Ezra Miller's great in this. Yeah, this movie makes you feel infinite. Another very underrated movie is a film called About Time from the director of Four Weddings and a Funeral in Notting Hill. I really like this with Rachel McAdams, and it's a sad movie. For anybody who has seen this, you know what scene I'm talking about. The last meeting between him and his father is just heartbreaking, and it really gets to your emotional chords. Oh my god, such a great underrated film. After that is a Legacy collection I found at Walmart, and this is the Planet of the Apes Legacy collection of all 5 original films. So it's Planet of the Apes, Beneath of the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Conquest, and Battle for the Planet of the Apes. Overall, I like this. Roddy McDowall is great in this as Cornelius and Caesar. Not a bad set of films. They really stand the test of time and may be more relevant now. Then we have the Planet of the Apes trilogy with Caesar. Andy Serkis is great in this. It's Rise, Dawn, and War. I love this. Such a great trilogy. And then I have the Die Hard collection, which only goes from Die Hard to Live Free or Die Hard, because let's face it, those are pretty much the only good ones. And I like this. It's not a bad set. I found this on sale, so it includes all the Die Hard movies. But it doesn't have the unrated version of Live Free or Die Hard. But overall, not a bad set. Say, you like Huey Lewis in the News? American Psycho is awesome. I love this movie. Christian Bale, and this is the uncut version, which is pretty much the NC-17 version. I love this. I have to return some videotapes after seeing this film. And then continuing Christian Bale and America, we have American Hustle from the director of The Fighter and Silver Linings Playbook. I love this movie. Bradley Cooper, Amy Adams, Christian Bale. I hate Jennifer Lawrence in this movie, but yeah, it's a great film. Then we have a film called Gangster Squad with Sean Penn, Josh Brolin, Ryan Gosling, and Emma Stone. Not a bad film. It's not exactly LA Confidential, but it's entertaining on its own, and the special features actually show the real Gangster Squad. That's actually more interesting. Overall, not a bad movie. And then we have one of my favorite Michael Mann films called Public Enemies, John Dillinger. We have Johnny Depp and Christian Bale go toe-to-toe. I love this movie. This is such a cool movie. And then we have the greatest film of all time, minus Godfather Part 3, and that is the Godfather trilogy. This is the Coppola restoration, and it looks beautiful. So many great features carried over from the DVD. Yeah, for any movie fan, for any movie buff cinephile, this is a must in your library. And then, yo, Adrian! We have Rocky. This is Rocky to Rocky Balboa, the Undisputed Collection, which included all the films up to now, until we had Creed in 2015. This is awesome. Not only is Creed 1, but Rocky 7. I love this movie. Sylvester Stallone should have got the Oscar, and Michael B. Jordan is fantastic. From the director of Fruitvale Station and this year's Black Panther. Definitely check this out. And then going to Sylvester Stallone, we have action with The Expendables. Every one of us is expendable. I love this movie. Such a great homage and nod to classic 80s and 90s action films. Then we have The Expendables 2, which is directed by Simon West, who did Tomb Raider and Con Air. Awesome movie. And then even though it's PG-13, I really like The Expendables 3, and Mel Gibson makes the film as the villain. Overall, not a bad set of films. I just wish they all were rated R. Then we have this Ben Affleck film that's very underrated he directed and stars in called The Town. This is the extended cut. Such an awesome movie. If you liked films like The Departed or Heat, definitely check this out. And speaking of Heat, we have Michael Mann's Heat, starring Val Kilmer. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro meet face to face for the first time in a film. I love this. This is an awesome movie. And then we have a very underrated science fiction film called Donnie Darko. I love this. Yeah, every time I look at our president, I feel like Donnie Darko to Patrick Swayze in this film. You know what? It sounds great and all, but I think you're the Antichrist, you know? Pop quiz! You have a Blu-ray in your hand. What do? You watch Speed with Keanu Reeves. I love this. Him and Sandra Bullock are great, and Dennis Hopper is the villain. Definitely one of my favorite movies growing up. Then we have an underrated Keanu Reeves film that's one of my personal favorites as far as romance, and that is A Walk in the Clouds. It's from the director of Like Water for Chocolate. I love this movie. Such a homage to classic romance films of the 30s and 40s. Very, very underrated. Anthony Quinn's in it as well. Then we have a very underrated Ben Stiller film that also gets to my heart like Perks of Being a Wallflower, and that is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I love this with him and Kristen Rigg. Such a fantastic film. And then we have Leonardo DiCaprio finally winning an Oscar for The Revenant. This is a heavy film, not for the faint of heart, but it's so good. Then we have Gangs of New York. Daniel Day-Lewis, Cameron Diaz, and Leo DiCaprio. Such a fantastic film. Then we have Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic, and even though they made some changes from the VHS, it looks awesome on Blu-ray. Then we have The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, Robert Langdon, Tom Hanks, directed by Ron Howard. Such a fantastic set of films. And even though it's not as strong as the first two, I really like Inferno. Inferno wasn't too bad. It has some twists. It just takes a bit to get started, you know. It's a slow burn, but overall not a bad film. Then, I'll be your Huckleberry. You tell him I'm coming, and hell's coming with me with Tombstone. Such a classic Western film, among one of Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer's best roles. I love Tombstone. Yeah, definitely get this if you're a fan of Westerns. And then this film's about to turn 20. We have The Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas, Anthony Hopkins, and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Such a wonderful film. I love this original Mask of Zorro. And then we have a film that's awesome, directed by Ang Lee with Chow Yun-fat and Michelle Yeoh, called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This movie is just awesome. I love this movie. And then we have the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven. It's actually really good. I love the theatrical, but this really adds a lot more. From Ridley Scott, starring Orlando Bloom. And then Are You Not Entertained with Gladiator, also directed by Ridley Scott, but starring Russell Crowe. Also had Best Picture and Best Actor for Russell Crowe. Then we have a very underrated religious war film called Hacksaw Ridge, directed by Mel Gibson. I love Andrew Garfield's performance in this. This is a strong, heartfelt film. Very, very good film. And then going to Mel Gibson, we have Freedom with Braveheart. I love Braveheart. Yeah, this had Best Picture. I love this. This is a classic from the 90s. And then another film that's, I think, is one of the best films, personally, as a Roman Catholic, is The Passion of the Christ. I love this film. Even if you're not religious, it's a beautiful looking film. It's a strong, impactful film. I love this. And then we have another film about freedom called The Patriot. This is the extended cut with Mel Gibson and Heath Ledger. Not a bad film. I really like this film. Even though it is a bit historically inaccurate, it still is highly entertaining. Besides Saturday Night Fever, Mad Max got me into being a filmmaker. I had this collection as a kid, and now I have it on Blu-ray with Mad Max. I don't have the Shout Factory edition because I heard the picture wasn't as good as this one. But I do miss a Mel Gibson interview. But overall, not a bad film. It looks better than the previous releases, and it has the original Australian track on it with the audio. And then I have the first Blu-ray I ever purchased. The first Blu-ray I ever bought was The Road Warrior in HD. I love it. Or also known as Mad Max 2. This is an awesome movie. Yeah, I got this when I got my PlayStation 3. That was my first Blu-ray player. I still love it. And then 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. We don't need another hero with Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Mel Gibson and Tina Turner. I love this movie. It's actually pretty good for a PG-13 Mad Max. First half's better than the second, but what can I say? It's still a pretty solid film. And then we have a really fantastic sequel with Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron as Furioso with Mad Max Fury Road. Witness! Witness it! It's not mediocre. Going on to Tom Cruise, we have Rock of Ages, which also has Julianne Hough and Diego Boneta. I love this movie. Such a fantastic musical. If you're a fan of 80s music, rock, and heavy metal, this is a film for you. Then we have Live, Die, Repeat, aka Edge of Tomorrow. Such an underrated film. Very, very great film where Tom Cruise really plays against type. And then we have a very awesome science fiction film from the director of Tron Legacy called Oblivion, with Tom Cruise, Morgan Freeman, and Olga Kurylenko. I love this movie. Such a great soundtrack as well. Then we have a very underrated role of Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai. Pretty much it's kind of like Dances with Wolves, but it's a fantastic movie. He should have got an Oscar, as well as, what's his name? Ken Watanabe should have also gotten an Oscar. They both were fantastic in this film. Then we have a film that I didn't quite like the first time I saw it, but it kind of grew on me over the years, and that is Vanilla Sky. I love this film. This includes the alternate ending, which adds a little bit more. It's more like Abre los ojos, Open Your Eyes, the original Spanish version from Spain, but overall, not a bad film. A very different type of film. More psychological and kind of science fiction. Then we have an awesome Michael Mann film, one of my favorite villain roles of Tom Cruise in Collateral, with Jamie Foxx and Jada Pinkett Smith. I love this movie. And then we have the Mission Impossible trilogy, which includes all 3 films, with Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible 2, and Mission Impossible 3. Overall, not a bad set for the collection. At the time, there was only 3 films on Blu-ray, so I got them. Overall, not bad. Nice little box set. Then we have Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. And then, to close it off, is this edition of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I love this one. This is my second favorite one. And then recently, with the release of Tomb Raider, I found a Lara Croft 2 movie collection with Lara Croft Tomb Raider and Tomb Raider Cradle of Life with Angelina Jolie, the OG Tomb Raider. Yeah, this is an awesome set of films. It's a bit cheesy, it's a bit fun, but you know what? It's well done. And we have Tomb Raider with Alicia Vikander, which is more like the reboots. Overall, a solid film. I just wish they could get the groundedness of this film and the action of the Angelina Jolie films, and I think you'd have a perfect Tomb Raider. But before Tomb Raider, Adventure had a name, and it was called Indiana Jones. This includes all the adventures. Not bad. They're like in a little digibook collection of all the films. Overall, not a bad set of films. Then we have the complete saga of Star Wars, which includes both the prequel and original trilogy. The original trilogy of Star Wars is like the best trilogy ever made. So you may know, I did not like The Last Jedi, and because of that it affected Force Awakens, so I got rid of that and I only kept Rogue One. And that concludes my Star Wars films. After that, we have two wonderful adventure films called The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. Really awesome remakes. I love Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz in this, as well as Oded Fehr as Ardeth Bay. Not a bad set of films. Much better than the Tom Cruise Mummy. Then we have my favorite film of 2015 was Straight Outta Compton, the biopic of NWA. Very well done film. And then we have a guilty pleasure of mine with Godzilla from 1998. Yeah, I actually like this film. Another guilty pleasure is Charlie's Angels from 2000, Mick G's first film. I love this movie. Then there's Something About Mary. A funny comedy, but now it's kind of disturbing. You realize, hey, this is really a movie about stalking. After that is a very underrated video game adaptation / sequel, and that is Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, complete. This is an awesome version. If you have not seen the complete version, I highly recommend it. It's far more violent and gory, and much more in-depth with a narrative than the original version. Then for comedies, we have Austin Powers Trilogy. Oh, behave. Then we have the Ninja Turtles trilogy, the original live-action 3, which is Ninja Turtles, Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze, and Ninja Turtles 3. Then we have Vampires with The Lost Boys and its 2 DVD spin-off sequels, The Tribe and The Thirst. I like Lost Boys and Lost Boys The Thirst the best. Then we have Mutation, X-Men from 2000. This is the Icons pack. And I also had X-Men 2, which features Nightcrawler, and X-Men 3, which features Storm. Not a bad case, really, for all three. And then I have the prequel trilogy with First Class. I love it. This is one of the best prequels. And then even better is X-Men Days of Future Past. I love this movie. And then finally, X-Men Apocalypse. I used to have X-Men Origins Wolverine, but I sold it because it was really kind of crappy after First Class, so I just have the Wolverine by James Mangold and the wonderful, wonderful film called Logan. I love this. The Last of Us meets Old Man Logan. I love it. And then we have Sexy Motherfucker with Deadpool. I love it. This is still my favorite Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds. Such a funny movie. And then I'm a huge fan of this show, and it's the adaptation of From Dusk Till Dawn. This is From Dusk Till Dawn, the series, Season 1. And then we have From Dusk Till Dawn, Season 2. Overall, I like 1 and 3 the best, but this isn't bad. I like the villain in this one. And actually, these set of films were actually featured on Robert Rodriguez's Twitter page. I shared my love for the films and show, and he shared it on his Twitter. Not bad, but here's the final season. Such a great conclusion. I really wish they could continue with a movie or a season 4, but you definitely have some great actors. Zane Holtz, Jesse Garcia, DJ Catrona, and then we have Eiza Gonzalez before Baby Driver in this. I love it. Definitely, it's one of those shows where I like it better than the movie. And then we have the movies, including the documentary Full Tilt Boogie of From Dusk Till Dawn. And then going with Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, we have Grindhouse double feature, which includes Planet Terror and Death Proof. Not a bad set of films. I like Planet Terror just a little bit more than Death Proof. Then we have the film that got me into vampires, and is probably Tom Cruise's best villain role, and that is Interview with a Vampire with Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, and Antonio Banderas. I love it. And then even though it's not like the book or the original, we have its sequel, Queen of the Damned, with Aaliyah and Stuart Townsend. Overall, not a bad set of vampire films. And then we have John Carpenter's classic Halloween from 1978, the Shout Factory edition of Halloween 2, and then the conclusion with Halloween H2O. So I kind of have a Laurie Strode trilogy, which it might just include this one and the new one that comes out this fall now. Going back to Arnold Schwarzenegger, we have Total Recall. I love Total Recall. Such an awesome Paul Verhoeven film. And then we have John McTiernan's film, Predator. The original is the best, and that's because of Arnold. Going to Terminators, we have Terminator Salvation, which includes the director's cut, and then Terminator Genesis. Not the best film, but I actually like this film. I like the motion cover, too. Dead or Alive, You're Coming With Me, with the RoboCop trilogy. All 3 films together. I buy that for $1. And then this is actually a gift from Paramount Pictures. A couple of years ago, I shared my Star Trek story, and it was featured on their page. Luckily, Paramount blessed me with this gift. They gave me a gift of the Star Trek Compendium, which includes Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness. Not a bad set. I already own the films, but I sold them to keep this. So, again, thank you, Paramount, for this gift. Then I have Star Trek Beyond. I actually really like the sequel done by Justin Lin. In space, no one can hear you scream with the Alien Anthology. I love this box set. Again, it's kind of done in like a booklet style, like the Star Wars Indiana Jones. I love this. Such an awesome case. Has a little egg in the back. Not a bad set. Then we have its prequels with Prometheus and Alien Covenant. And then I actually found this at Big Lots for $3, and I could not pass this. I'm a big fan of vampires and Vlad Dracula. And I found Bram Stoker's Dracula in this little book edition. Yes, by Francis Ford Coppola. I love this film. Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder. Oh my god, they're fantastic. It has a little booklet. And yeah, it has some new interviews and stuff. It's not a bad set. I just wish it had a better cover. I wish it had the 4K cover. Now that was a cover. That was a theatrical poster. Going back to Keanu Reeves, we have the 10-year anniversary of The Matrix in this little digibook. Not bad. It's back when Blu-rays, when they came out, they had these digibook collections. And then for the price of one, before I had the triple feature, I found The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions double pack. These two films really go together. It's pretty much like Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3 or Back to the Future Parts 2 and 3. And then we have Baba Yaga, the Boogeyman, with John Wick. I love this movie. One of my favorite movies of the decade. And then I also have its sequel, John Wick Chapter 2. It had a lot more action, but I still like the first the best. Then we have an awesome film by Alejandro Inarritu, starring Michael Keaton, called Birdman. I love this movie. Little Velcro set of Birdman. Not a bad little set. I like it. One Best Picture. Then we have the Bourne Ultimate Collection, which is the Bourne Identity. Again, it's kind of like in a little booklet. Unfortunately, it also includes Jeremy Renner's Bourne, which sucks, because all it really needs is Matt Damon. He's Jason Bourne. But, you get what? 5 films for the price of like 1 or 2, so it wasn't bad. I got this very cheap during one Christmas, and it's not a bad set. Then we have the Jurassic Park trilogy, all 3 original films. I love this with retrospectives and everything. Such a great set on Blu-ray. Then we have this mega Stardate collection with Star Trek, both the original series and Next Generation series of films. And of course, they're kind of plain, but it's like all in this little booklet. Not a bad little set. If you want to boldly go where no person has gone before, get this. Then we have one of the greatest trilogies ever made with the Lord of the Rings Extended Edition trilogy. They're in black case instead of blue, so it's Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King. I love this set on Blu-ray. Has a map of Middle Earth when you put them in there, so like inside it's a map, and then Aragorn, it's magnetic. Not a bad set. One ring to rule them all. And besides Star Wars, one of my favorite trilogies of all time is the Dark Knight trilogy. 3 great, fantastic films. I love this set. As far as Disney films, we have Tron Legacy. I love this movie. I still wish they made a part 3. Then we have The Lion King, such a classic film. Then we have the Diamond Edition of Beauty and the Beast, a tale as old as time. Going with Bond, I also have Spectre on Blu-ray. Not a bad follow-up to Skyfall. Then we have Cowboys and Aliens, a very underrated Jon Favreau film with both Harrison Ford and Daniel Craig. Then for video games, we have Resident Evil Afterlife Steelbook. Then Heath Ledger's last film with the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Men in Black 3, a good film with Nicolas Cage called Knowing on Blu-ray. A very underrated Robert Zemeckis Denzel Washington film called Flight, excellent film. We have Red 2 with Bruce Willis, retired, extremely dangerous. Then we have G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra, and then G.I. Joe, Retaliation. 2 great films. We have the comedy Ted with Mark Wahlberg. I love this film, probably my favorite comedy since Anchorman and Zoolander. Oh wait, I do have The Force Awakens. Harry Potter, the complete collection, all 8 years in one set. And then this is too close to home, but we have The Purge Anarchy, and then Purge Election Year. Then we have an awesome show on HBO I really love, and that is Boardwalk Empire. Steve Buscemi. I love this. Nucky Thompson. Then we have my favorite season was Season 2. Season 3, which adds Bobby Cannavale as the villain. And then we have the wonderful conclusions of Season 4. And No One Goes Quietly, and No One Can Be Half a Gangster. The final season of Boardwalk Empire. Then we take it to the X-Files double pack, which has both X-Files from 1998 and I Want to Believe, meaning I Want to Believe this is a good sequel. Overall, I like Fight the Future the best, but it's not a bad little double feature of the X-Files. Going to DVDs, we have the X-Files Season 1, the X-Files Season 2, Season 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which it really should have ended here, 9, and then Season 10, aka the Event Series. I can't wait for Season 11 to come out on DVD. It's taken a sweet time, really. It has such a good ending. Not a bad show. The truth is out there. Then we have Scream Queens Season 1. I love Season 1 of this show. Season 2 wasn't very good, but this season had me laughing so damn hard. I love this. What's your favorite scary movies? The Scream trilogy on DVD. And then we have Scream 4. Heads are gonna roll tonight, Sydney. I love this. Then we have Daredevil Season 2. I didn't get the first season on Blu-ray, but I was wanting a DVD release to go with the 2003 film, but I do have this, which is good because it goes in correlation with my Punisher and Daredevil films on DVD. Going with Daredevil, we have the original theatrical cut from 2003. I paid $12.99 for this at Walmart. Don't you miss it when movies were $12.99 when they were brand new, before they're over $20? Not a bad set of films. I like this film. And then what's even better is its R-rated director's cut. I love this. Much longer Kingpin Daredevil fight at the end. And then we have one of my favorite Punisher films with Thomas Jane and John Travolta. I love this. This isn't vengeance. This is punishment. Then we have a guilty pleasure. It's a mediocre sequel, but it's pretty much like, imagine Batman Forever if it was merged with a Saw film. And that's pretty much Punisher Warzone with Ray Stevenson. But it has a nice look of the Max series, to say the least. Then I recently got this on Amazon. I saw it at Walmart, but I got it on sale. It's the 5-movie collection of Spider-Man, which includes all the Tobey Maguire films and then Andrew Garfield films. I love it. Not a bad set. I only dislike 3 the most. Amazing Spider-Man 2 has both the best and worst moments of the series. It's a paradox, but I love the first 2, and I can stand Amazing Spider-Man. It's open season and all suckheads with Blade. I love Blade. Then we have the Guillermo del Toro directed Blade 2. Then, like every Marvel third film in the 2000s, we have Blade Trinity, which pretty much killed the franchise. Listen to them, children of the night, what music they make. The Legacy Collection of Dracula, which includes Dracula, both the 31 Bela Lugosi version and its Spanish version with different cast. Then Dracula's Daughter, Son of Dracula, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I love the 31 film, the Spanish version, and Dracula's Daughter with Gloria Holden is a very, very underrated film. Then we have PG-13 Dracula with Dracula Untold. Then is an underrated Wes Craven horror film with Cillian Murphy and Rachel McAdams, and that is Red Eye. I love Red Eye. Found this for like 80 cents at Big Lots. Then we have this wonderful documentary called Never Sleep Again, which goes over the Nightmare on Elm Street films. I love it. Such an in-depth 4-hour documentary. And then we have Fred Krueger with Nightmare on Elm Street 1 through 4, and then 5 through Freddy vs. Jason. Not a bad set of films. I like 1, 3, and New Nightmare the best. Then we have an awesome video game adaptation and horror film, and that is Silent Hill. This is so well done with Sean Bean. I love this first one. Then we have Mila Jovovich in Resident Evil. I actually like this one and Resident Evil Apocalypse with the Nemesis. After this, it all went kind of crazy. Then we move on to Kate Beckinsale as Selene in Underworld. Lycans versus Vampires. I love this. And then Underworld Evolution got at Circuit City on June 6, 2006. Yes, 666. Then we have Rise of the Lycans. Underworld Awakening. This is actually my least favorite one. Then we have a film that surprised me with Underworld Blood Wars. It wasn't the best movie it could have been. I didn't like what they did to Michael's character, but overall, solid conclusion. Then we go to Robert Rodriguez with Sin City, a very well done adaptation, and Sin City, A Dame to Kill. Then we move on to The Mariachi with El Mariachi from 1992. Very well done independent film. Read Rebel Without a Crew. It's an awesome book. Then we have Desperado with Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek. Then we have the awesome conclusion of Once Upon a Time Mexico. Now, Saturday Night Fever and Mad Max inspired me as filmmakers, but this film showed me that filmmaking could be a possibility, and I love the special features to this. Such a grand conclusion with Johnny Depp. Then we have Tarantino with Django Unchained, and then Reservoir Dogs. Then we have Pulp Fiction, a little wear and tear over the years, but overall not a bad vintage set. Then we have The Bride in Kill Bill Volume 1 and Kill Bill Volume 2. I love Volume 2, such an awesome film. Silhouette of Doom. Then we have an underrated crime film with Josh Hartnett and Bruce Willis, Morgan Freeman, and Ben Kingsley called Lucky Number 11. Kansas City's Shuffle, Culebra is a bad dog. Then we have an underrated David Ayer film called Street Kings with Keanu Reeves. I really like the grittiness of this film. Has Forrest Whitaker in it. And then I love The Lookout with Jeff Daniels and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Then Call Him Snake or Call Him Pliskin with Escape from New York and Escape from L.A. Two great John Carpenter movies. Then we have an underrated Val Kilmer film that's done in the same vein as Clear and Present Danger and the first Mission Impossible, and that is The Saint with Val Kilmer and Elizabeth Shue. I like this movie. Then we have a Ridley Scott directed crime film starring Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe with American Gangster. Awesome crime film. Then we have two really good Mel Gibson films called Bloodfather. I love this movie. And then The Beaver, a very underrated, just kind of emotional film. Directed by Jodie Foster. Also stars her, Mel Gibson, Jennifer Lawrence in an early role, and Anton Yelchin. May he rest in peace, I miss him. Then we have The Departed. I love this movie. Troy. Immortality, it's yours. Take it. I'll Make You Famous with Young Guns and Young Guns 2. I love this with Billy the Kid. Emilio! Speaking of westerns, we also have Once Upon a Time in the West, awesome Sergio Leone film, and then we have 310 to Yuma, awesome remake with Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. And then Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. Then going to Disney, we have Sky High. I like this film. Wish I had a sequel or TV show. And then back to Emilio, I swear to God, it's Mr. Mighty Duck Man himself with the Mighty Duck trilogy. The Mighty Ducks, D2 The Mighty Ducks, and D3. Going to horror films, we have Sweeney Todd. I love this musical. Such a great Tim Burton film. And then we have the original 1985 Fright Night. Very underrated film. I wish Fright Night Part 2 would make its way on DVD. I mean, like, again, or on Blu-ray. Seriously, they need Part 2 out. Then going to vampires, we have an adaptation of Salem's Lot with Rob Lowe, Donald Sutherland, and Rutger Hauer. Really good miniseries based on the Stephen King novel. Then we have I Am Legend, which also includes the unrated extended version, which has an alternate ending. Then we have the funny vacation films with Clark Griswold. I love Chevy Chase in all four of these films. Vacation and Christmas Vacation are my favorites. Then we have another Chevy Chase film called Cops and Robertsons with him and Jack Palance, another funny film. Then we have Loaded Weapon 1, which is a spoof on Lethal Weapon. And then speaking of Lethal Weapon, we have the Lethal Weapon 4-pack, which includes the director's cut of the first three. Awesome set. I love Riggs of Murtaugh. Then we have the Peter Jackson remake of King Kong. I love this. Such a well-done film. Then we have Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. And then Season 2, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. It's really cool. I actually got to meet Summer Glau at a Comic-Con, and she signed a photo for me. I love this show. And what started it all was the Terminator from 1984. Then we have Terminator 2 Judgment Day, die-cast metal edition, which also has a cover with Arnold. Then we have Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. He'll be back. Then we have a comedy called Tropic Thunder. I love this movie. Then we have Starsky and Hutch with Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. And then a film I got to in recent years that I actually grew to love, and that's Reality Bites, directed by Ben Stiller, his first film that he directed with Winona Ryder and Ethan Hawke. I love this movie. Welcome to the winter of our discontent. There is no secret handshake, but there is an IQ prerequisite. I want to get this on Criterion Blu-ray, but my favorite romance films, one of my favorite Ethan Hawke films, is the Before trilogy with Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, directed by Richard Linklater, and then Before Midnight. Excellent set of films. Then we have an underrated rom-com that I kind of liked. It's supposed to be called Riders, but it's Stuck in Love with Jennifer Connelly, Greg Kinnear, and Lily Collins, and Logan Lerman. I really like this movie. I don't know. There's just something about it that I love. Then we have Matt Damon with Heath Ledger in The Brothers Grimm. And then Matt Damon with Greg Kinnear in Stuck on You. They're not Siamese. They're American. Then I have Scary Movie. Scary Movie 4. And then an awesome comedy that was kind of ahead of its time called Blank Man with Damon Wayans. I love this movie. And then speaking of Mr. Mighty Duck Man himself, we have Night of the Roxbury. What is Love? Baby Don't Hurt Me. Then what the best board game adaptation with Clue the movie. Awesome film. The director, Jonathan Lynn, actually follows me on Twitter. He's awesome. Go check out his page and his other films. This is an awesome movie, still after all these years. Yeah, it's not a game anymore. It's an awesome movie. Then we have John Constantine. Then we have the awesome Ron Perlman, Guillermo del Toro film, Hellboy. I love this movie. And then, of course, we have Saturday Night Fever 30th Anniversary Edition and Staying Alive. I found this for a quarter at Hollywood Video. Then we have this funny Jim Carrey comedy called Once Bitten. Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler and Winona Ryder. And then we have Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice! Oh no, I shouldn't have said it 3 times. Then we have an early James McAvoy role as Duke Leto II in Sci-Fi's Children of Dune. I love this. Then we have Serenity, based on Firefly, Highlander, The Final Dimension, and then Highlander Endgame. And then guess what, guys? Jumanji. Awesome Robin Williams film. Then we have Green Lantern, Batman Year One, Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, and a double pack of Mask of the Phantasm and Sub-Zero. I got that when I got Arkham Asylum, and then we have the complete series of Justice League, which is in 2 separate covers. So it has this with Unlimited, and then the original Justice League shows in this one. Then we have Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Batman Beyond Season 1, Batman Beyond Season 2, Batman Beyond Season 3, the Batman Superman movie, which is pretty much the world's finest episodes, and then Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. This is a PG-13 version. Then we have Volume 1 of Batman the Animated Series, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. Then we have the complete animated series of Superman, starring Tim Daly. Then we have Smallville Season 10, Smallville Season 9. Have like this die-cast metal version of Season 8, which has Clark, Lois and Clark at the Daily Planet. Season 7, Season 6, Season 5. One of my favorites was Seasons 3 and 9. Smallville Season 4. One of my favorites, Season 3, Season 2. Smallville Season 1. Superman Doomsday. Then we have Insidious. Insidious 2. And then Insidious Chapter 3. I actually got this at the dollar store for $15. I'm awaiting the last key for this Halloween. And then finally concluding the collection is the Back to the Future trilogy. This is the first DVD I ever had. I love this trilogy. Yeah, I love it between Huey Lewis and the News, Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd. Definitely one of the best trilogies. Oh yeah, this is Fred from the future, and I almost forgot this flashback with Miami Vice Season 1. Miami Vice Season 2. I love this show with Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas. We have Miami Vice Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, and the film, the unrated director's cut. I like this better than the theatrical. Anyway, that is my Blu-ray DVD collection video. I hope you all enjoyed this. Again, thank you, Jessica's Music Box, for recommending this video. And also, here's some other videos. If you didn't catch my 400th video or any other videos, here's some you may see on my channel. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Have a great day.